Evening, folks, and welcome to the Thursday edition of the Whitfield Report.
Yeah, I'm blown away.
And I want to thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Folks, I want to thank you guys because tonight I hit 612 subscribers on the channel. And because of that, we have some special guests tonight. Not just because of the show, but let me go ahead and introduce our guests. I have some old colleagues of mine joining me on the show tonight. My friend Jayson Veley and his brother Tate and their friend Andrew, they're hosting a new podcast called On Tap, and they do a weekly comic book and pop culture show, and so they're on the line now, and I'm going to bring them on. So, hold on a sec if I can get Skype going. Alright, you boys there?
We're all here. Gang's all here.
Alright, so welcome to the Whitfield Report, gentlemen. I just did a quick intro, and so ladies and gentlemen, as I just mentioned, we have Jayson Veley, his brother Tate Veley, and Andrew, I can't remember your last name, I'm sorry, but it's our first time meeting, actually. So
yeah, nice to meet you, bud. I'm Andrew Forgetta.
Nice. So
not Forgetta.
Nice. We have a fellow WAP in the house. So well, anyway, so folks, for those of you who don't know, Jayson and Tate and I go way back to our early days of doing internet radio, and I don't want to harp on it too much, but I mean, I've told a little bit of the story, but I mean, Jayson, I think it's been close to a decade since we first met.
Has it been that long?
I think it's not quite, but we met in 2011, I think, or 2012, so almost...
It's been a while, you're right.
So almost, 10 years, and you and Tate came onto the show once before, and, just to kind of pop in, but a lot of people want to know, how did you guys initially get started podcasting, and what?
Oh, God.
And whatnot?
Well, no real answer, I guess. So, yeah, I guess I'll take the lead on this one for what it's worth. First of all, Sam, I got to ask you if you got a Guinness.
I don't have a Guinness, but because they weren't out, but the local liquor store I went to, they wanted like $20 for a 6-pack. So I'm like, I'm not doing that. So I went ahead and got my other favorite standby, which is Fat Tire. So I'm cracking that open right now. What are you guys drinking? We'll get to the title of your podcast here in just a sec.
Right,
Yeah.
all that less important stuff, right?
Yeah.
Love the Fat Tire. You know us on Tap Boys. We're always drinking during our podcast. It's what we do. But right now I got a Yingling Light. It's not bad, actually. 99 calories.
Nice.
I'm also drinking Yingling Light.
Nice. Now, is there anyone drinking White Claw tonight?
No, I haven't had White Claw on the show in a while, actually. Thank you for bringing that up.
Good. You don't need.
Oh, thank God.
You don't need White Claw. White Claw.
But they're so good, Sam.
No.
And I and I got a. We're all drinking different. Well, actually, Kate and Andrew are drinking Yingling. I got an IPA tonight called Bullet Takes Flight from our local brewery up here. It's actually a double IPA.
Oh, nice.
8% alcohol. So I'm enjoying this thoroughly.
Nice. So, cheers to you. Well, cheers to you, gentlemen. So,
Cheers, Sam.
Cheers. God bless, man.
It's been a long time coming.
So, yeah, and everyone in the chat is saying, radio, video. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much what this is. We're going a bit old school tonight, folks. But, anyway, so, as I was asking, so, I mean, how did, Jason, how you and Tate got started in actual radio, like, a long-ass time ago? Actually, like, before I even met you guys.
We were doing political talk for a while. Tate, you kind of dabbled with it a little bit for a short period of time at one point. I remember.
If we're going way back, it all started on Jason's local access television show called The Junior Factor. It was political commentary. It was local access, like I said, and I was, I guess you could call it, producer for it. And we would just do political talk, and he had a co-host, Connor Mullen, and from there it kind of bloomed into his own radio show. And I mean, I thought about doing it for a little while, but I never was as good as political commentary as he was. So I guess that's where it kind of, I mean, we'll get to it, but I guess that's kind of where it branched off into an offshoot kind of podcast, of which we're doing now.
Right.
So cool. So, you know, Jason, I know that you took a break from, you know, radio after kind of quitting politics for a bit, you know, as did I. You know, I've continued in politics a little bit, but not really. I'm doing pop culture now too, like you guys are. So what inspired you guys to, first of all, where'd you come up with the name On Tap? Because that is a great name.
Well, we have a little bit of a funny story about this. I'll take the lead on this one. We actually put a lot of thought into our name, as you might expect, but I think it was last late August of last year. I had a beer Olympics here one night with a bunch of people, and Andrew and Tate were here, obviously, and it was about 2 or 3 in the morning, and we were several beers in, and that's when I think the first time these guys mentioned to me, you know, we should really start a podcast.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a drunken decision at first. But then, you know, a few days later, we circled back and, you know, in our clear state of mind, we said, you know, do you guys really want to start a podcast? And we all thought it was a great idea. We all love pop culture and Marvel and Game of Thrones and movies and all that kind of stuff. So we all just kind of took it and ran with it. And as for the name, we were originally thinking of, there were a few different names that we were tossing back and forth. Do you guys remember any of them?
We sat in the studio for, probably upwards of almost like 2 hours. Just thinking of names, drinking some brews and just shooting the shit and talking about some, can I swear on your show?
Oh
if
yeah.
Not, it's too late.
Oh fuck yeah. You can. So,
so we were just.
Yeah, I swear all the fucking time on the show. So.
All right. So we were just in the studio, you know, shooting it and just kind of having some beers, and we knew that we wanted to, you know, have some brews or cocktails during our podcast when we were recording. So we wanted it to be something kind of, you know, centered around like beer or alcohol or something like that. So I don't actually remember any of the names that we kind of previously threw out.
The random Cheeto
Yeah,
was one of them.
that was one I was thinking of. The random Cheeto, the front stoop was another one.
The front stoop was one.
Just like, banter on the front stoop, whatever you're talking about up there.
But then we were like, every week we would have a different, kind of set of topics and stuff. And it's like a nice brewery. You go in, sometimes you got different beers on tap. And so we were like, we could choose the flavor for each week. And, depending on what we talk about, that's what's on tap for that week. And so that's kind of just how we came to the consensus of our podcast being called On Tap. And we have a lot of fun on it.
That's a catchphrase.
That's, that's a good concept, and that's actually kind of what I was thinking too. Is you guys kind of sit around. It's kind of like a pub,
right?
Where you guys just sit around and talk. I mean, that's kind of I feel like that's kind of what podcasting has evolved into because when Jason and I started, obviously we were doing a lot more political talk, but. Podcasting back then was strictly internet radio. There wasn't really like a lot of free form talking going on. Everyone kind of stuck to a radio format, and like I actually went back and actually listened to some of our old podcasts, Jason, and some of the advertisements that we used to run were just really bad. So,
they were the best.
Did you ever do you remember did any of our old sponsors ever actually pay you or no?
What I mostly did with my advertising, if you even want to call it that, is I would just look to promote organizations of the same mentality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Political organizations that I supported, I would just, out of the goodness of my heart, play ads for them on my show, but none of them were like paid or sponsorships or anything.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Why would you even do that?
Because I believe in their cause.
Well,
no money, no cause.
Yeah, but anyway, well, so I was actually kind of, I wouldn't really say surprised, but I knew that you guys were into politics, obviously, because we worked together for a long time, and I think at various points during the time we were together, we had kind of discussed pop culture, but it was off air. So, but like, one thing that I kind of discovered about you guys is you guys actually really know like a lot about Marvel specifically. So, like, how are you guys like actually like hardcore comic book fans like I am, or like how did you get into Marvel specifically? Because that seems to be a hot topic on your show as of late.
Yeah. So, Sam, I would say, this is Andrew, by the way, because I know Tate and I sound similar to one another. But I would say Marvel and Star Wars are probably our strongest subjects when it comes to going into a deep discussion or diving down the rabbit hole of what could possibly be coming up next within these franchises.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, Game of Thrones as well, for sure. But for Marvel, at least, I mean, I've dabbled in comics. I haven't really, like, taken a head-nose dive into any of them. I have a couple comics at home, but mainly it's just, I've watched a ton of different YouTubers and just listened to what they had to say about the origin of these characters and where they're from and what they may be doing in whatever timeline. And I just kind of use that knowledge to base off my speaking during the shows that we have.
And Sam, to add on to that too, a lot of it was, since obviously this is still a relatively new podcast, we kind of had to take it episode by episode and kind of work to figure out what our strengths and weaknesses were.
Sure.
And I think Marvel being one of our strengths just kind of presented it to ourselves. And we kind of discovered that this is one of our strong points, and we're just kind of taking the ball and running with it now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, I honestly, look, I know it's been a while since we talked, but I mean, the Whitfield Report is actually fairly new in and of itself, because when I was working with you guys, it was called the Whitfield Analysis, which was strictly politics, and
yeah,
and like within the last year and a half, I've kind of relaunched as well, and I've kind of delved into pop culture and comedy a bit too. So I mean, this whole format is again like constantly experimenting with where your strong suits are, and kind of like what can you introduce into the whole flow as well. So that's interesting.
And Sam, let me ask you this too: as someone who also transitioned from politics to pop culture, I found that you can get just as in depth and talk just as much about pop culture as you can about politics. You know what I mean? They're two totally different genres, but you can really dig in and get into rumors and theories and news and all different kinds of stuff about pop culture, and that's what I think I really, really like about it.
Oh yeah, well, and I mean with me, and this doesn't happen as much, but sometimes the two interchange. More or less. Like honestly, the whole reason why I started covering pop culture was because when Dave Chappelle, so you guys might not know this, but I'm a big stand-up comedy fan, and so when Dave Chappelle released his last special, Dave Chappelle is very liberal, but he's incredibly funny. And yet, when he got attacked by the from the social justice warrior mob, I was kind of like, what the fuck is going on here? So I analyzed, I basically did a review of his special last year from a purely like entertainment stance, and then kind of like brought the politics into it a little, and people are like, hey, you should do more reviews on stuff. So that's what I've done for the last year and a half. So
sure,
it's all about playing with your audience a bit too. So
I think one of the things that we have going for us a little bit, and I don't know if we're super great at it, but we sure enjoy doing it. And for all things considered, I don't think we're the worst at it. Is reviewing movies and stuff like that. I really think that for the audiences that are out there now, film is really big, and I think that being able to go to the movies and stuff like that, especially for all the blockbusters that are coming out now and stuff, Marvel's huge, obviously, and stuff. Reviewing those movies and making a show about reviewing them is really you dive in depth. I mean, we typically go for like an hour 25 each episode. And I mean that goes by in the blink of an eye when we review these movies and stuff like that.
I've done 4 hours stream on Star Wars alone though in the past. I mean you can really dive into it. So
oh yeah, you could easily lose track of time. And like we've been doing some of our discussions, and Jason will have to move us along because I have no clue how long we've been talking about a certain subject before. Jason's like, all right, we're running a little low on time here tonight. We got to keep moving here. Next topic is, and I'm just like, all right, abrupt transition. Let's do this.
Well, and feel free to ask me any questions, too, that you might have. One that kind of jumps out at me, though, because I've been listening to your podcast, which, by the way, I do want to bring this up real quick. To my friends at Apple, what the fuck are you guys doing? Why haven't you added on tap yet to your?
Oh my god!
I don't know, man, but I have a personal animosity now against Apple.
I don't think they like us.
Well, that's strange considering that the last time I checked, you guys are like me and you own all Apple products. So, what the hell?
Yeah.
This shit would not happen if Steve were still alive. Let me just I'm waiting
on Samsung Radio to come out.
Samsung Radio.
Hey! I should trademark that. So who knows? So who knows?
On average, we usually come up with about 3 trademarks a day, an episode on our podcast.
Yeah, we could go into business together and like start another network that hopefully won't implode. But no, one question I do have is as a fellow Marvel fan and of the MCU, Did you guys ever think it would go this far 10 years ago when the MCU first started? Because that blows my mind, honestly.
No,
No.
absolutely not. There's no way I pictured the first Iron Man movie turning into Endgame and its final product. I saw Avengers movies coming out. Like I was able to I was able to hope for that to happen.
Mhm.
But as for 30 plus cast member type of movie with all these different heroes in it and coming together on this big battlefield, no, I never could have even dreamed of something so amazing occurring.
And Sam, to add on to that, I don't even think they knew that it would turn into something this big. I mean, you look at the first Iron Man movie, they even took a huge shot when they, cast RDJ as Iron Man. They had no idea if that was going to be, highly successful or tank. So I think they have, Marvel has just built something absolutely incredible. I would argue unprecedented. But to answer your question, I don't even think, first of all, I didn't think it would build up to this, and I don't think they even knew that it would build up to this.
And if I could piggyback off of that, I'm sorry, but you got to give all the, a lot of it as well is kind of luck, believe it or not. I mean, the castings that they have and the characters that they filled just hit. And especially for the pivotal films of Iron Man 1, 2, and 3, you had Jon Favreau who was directing, I think, 2 and 3. And he turned those movies into something that launched a legacy. And so, I mean, a lot of that, this guy was a nobody, really, before directing Iron Man. And, I mean, it's kind of just a stroke of luck. Jon Favreau kind of catapulted them into this entire freaking web of incredible filmmaking that lasted, a lifetime and will hopefully continue to last a lifetime, and it's just built such a legacy.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say that Favreau was a nobody because he was kind of like an indie film guy for the most part. I
guess I meant a nobody to kind of mainstream films.
Well,
I mean, like,
well, sure, yeah.
Mainstream for the average viewer, I guess.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. And I think one of the more amazing things about the MCU's is it's kind of in its own way surpassed the Marvel Cinematic Universe in and of itself. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's just such a feat when it comes down to it. It's such like a feat in movie making and just in, I mean, a franchise. This Marvel, I mean, granted they have almost infinite content to work with, and they always have because of Stan Lee. I mean, rest his soul, laid the foundation for this universe. But to be able to capitalize on that and to be able to set up the foundation and the team members that would add to it is just, you got to have skill, and Marvel is king of the world right now with what they're doing and what they have done.
Yeah, I would say so. And I mean, I'm real curious to see what they do with the incorporation of Disney Plus now too. I'm a little.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
No, I just said I agree. I'm excited to see what they do with it.
I'm a little. So I listened to your podcast. I think it was from last week when you guys talked about like Cap and Bucky, or I guess
Falcon.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I don't understand why they just don't make Bucky Captain America like they did in the comics. I feel like that's an obvious thing, but
thank you, Sam.
But whatever. I'm still excited for Cap and Bucky. WandaVision, I don't understand what that is, and to be honest, I'm a little. That's the one I'm nervous about because it seems campy. Like, even from Marvel, it seems a little too campy.
The fact that we know virtually nothing about it is what has me so interested. I think WandaVision is going to be unlike anything we've seen so far in the MCU. I mean, obviously, it's going to feature two characters we've come to know, but I think the genre of it and the setting and the plot line are going to be still just as interesting, but completely different. Now, whatever form that takes, I have no idea. But again, that's what has me so interested.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good point. It also could be, I mean, the marketing for it seems kind of random too. What they're doing with it. I mean,
yeah.
It seems a little too silly right now the way they're marketing it, and I'm kind of like, does this even like, you know, is this even involved with the current MCU timeline? But you know, it might not be. It could introduce the multiverse theory. Who knows?
Yeah, I think that we're going to lead right into Doctor Strange 2, and that's another thing we've been talking about a lot on our show.
Yeah. Regarding Doctor Strange 2, I'm excited for that one. However, I don't think it's going to be as gritty as some people are hoping, simply because it's Disney still, and
I agree. Sorry, go ahead.
And you know, I mean, I will say this. Well, I'm pretty much happy with the MCU for the most part. I am a little pissed off at Kevin Feige because he basically wiped out the Netflix Marvel shows, which were really great. But he wiped
Daredevil was an awesome show.
Yeah, Daredevil and The Punisher as well were like the two best shows, and I feel like if they wanted to include gritty stuff in the MCU, they should just bring those shows over from Netflix or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But no, they had to kill those two off.
So when it comes to Strange 2 and grittiness, so Sam Raimi, confirmed director after the previous director fell off, known for doing, I guess, Insidious and a couple of other horror movies.
Yeah, he's mainly known for horror.
So that's awesome. That's something that he definitely has going for him. That being said, like you said, it's going to be Disney-fied. It's going to be no worse than PG-13, which for sure limits them and kind of puts a strangle on what they could do. But I think it'll still be, I don't know, horror-centric, I guess. I mean, in terms of what they're trying to do. It's like one of those things where you're trying to make soda, but it comes out as seltzer.
Watered down shit.
Yeah, it comes out as like you're trying to do one thing, but it comes out as something else. I mean, maybe that's what Raimi will do. Who knows? Maybe he'll have his own vision and just be phenomenal with what he is limited to do, I guess. But I mean, I think Strange 2 will definitely boost the second half of this chapter in Marvel.
Sam, I got a question for you, man.
Yeah, feel free.
So what do you think Disney needs to do, or Marvel, I should say, to take its next leap into grasping more fans or just a new generation of people to get on their films? You know, what do they need to do to keep making money? Because I think, as Tate has said in the past, I believe, they've hit their peak. And what can they do to, you know, make sure they don't fall too far off from that?
Well, this was actually something that I've talked about on previous podcasts, and this is something that Jason and I actually, I wouldn't really say we got into a fight about it over text, but he and I kind of disagreed because I
know what you're gonna say, Sam.
Because I said at one point that the Marvel Cinematic Universe was getting too formulaic and boring, and I guess I triggered Jason if I can say that, but no, I mean I think
Sam, you didn't even give me a trigger warning. Come on.
Yeah, we don't give trigger warnings here at the Whitfield Report.
Well, good. We don't on tap either, so.
But
spoiler warning.
or those, but see with spoilers, I'm also kind of like, who cares? I'll see it when it comes out on on Blu-ray or whatever. But no,
Right.
I think I will say this. I think Disney Plus has kind of saved them a bit, maybe, like kind of
Yeah.
giving them some power. But I'll tell you what,
New life.
the one thing that they need to do is they need to, I guess, maybe bring in some of the creative writing team from the Netflix, Marvel series, because when Marvel is allowed to do, I guess, like darker and grittier storylines, they do them really well. But
Yep.
as long as they're kind of stuck behind, everything has to be kind of Disney-fied, they're going to, it's going to become formulaic, and people are going to get bored by it. And someone else brought a good point, like, at the end of the day, like, who pays for Disney Plus? It's obviously adults. They're the ones who have the credit cards, and whatnot, paying for the service.
Right.
So,
and their kids are the one who want to watch Lion King and Frozen and yada yada.
yeah, which is great when I have like small cousins over, or something like that. But and I'm not saying they have to do like anything like extremely graphic, like Sopranos level stuff or anything like that. But I think The Punisher and Daredevil, like you said, were really good shows.
Right. I think, if you don't mind me cutting in here,
No,
I think
not at
more
all.
R-rated films could be a great thing for them.
They won't do it.
I know they might not do it, Jason.
I'm just
And
saying.
don't burst my bubble like that, buddy.
No,
But
yeah,
it's just something fresh and something like a little more graphic for the adult fan base, because they've captured a lot of us. They've captured a lot of us when we were young, like when we were in like high school or
right.
middle school, even some people elementary school, and now at this point we're all older, depending on when we started watching this franchise. I mean, I don't think anyone would be too upset with a couple R-rated films, a little bit more graphicness and more violence to these movies, instead of like the hero or the villain doesn't always, or the villain doesn't die and the hero puts him in a jail cell. Something like that. Maybe the hero does, or the villain does die. Mix up hero and villain. I'm fucking struggling here.
Yeah, or
But I just want to say I don't see Marvel doing that anytime soon. And the reason I don't see them making R-rated movies anytime soon is because, for the past 10 years, they've been making billions of dollars with PG-13 movies. They have absolutely no reason, no incentive right now to make R-rated movies. The risk just seems bigger than the reward at this point. Just my opinion.
But then you look and see what DC did with Joker too, and people. People were.
DC kind of sucks.
Yeah. DC does suck. I agree with that. But I think Joker surprised everyone.
Well,
even so.
Well,
So.
give Todd Phillips the role on some other movies, and you might be mistaken. If DC was smart, and I said this I think a couple podcasts ago, if DC was smart, they would focus their movies on kind of villain-centered films that are graphic, that are violent, that are deep plot-driven, and that are kind of character studies, and kind of fulfilling this kind of dark DC universe. If they were smart right now, that is what I would focus on until maybe things, fizzle out in, 5 years or even beyond that. DC has a lot of really cool characters. There's no denying that. Villains and superheroes. So I think if DC was smart, right now they would focus on these kind of black label DC films like the Joker and these character studies that are violent and give people the runaround, and I think they should just go with that for a little while.
Yeah.
Because you're not beating Marvel.
Yeah, and I think the other thing they need to do is they need to stop trying to beat Marvel, too, because they basically ran Justice League out as fast as they could to compete with the Avengers, and it tanked, and so
crap.
if they tried doing something more original, I think they would, do better too. So
Yeah, I mean, Joker was a DC original. You got a freaking amazing Well, okay, I kind of gave him a little kudos on there, but you got a really good director, Todd Phillips, and then you got Joaquin Phoenix. Jesus, I'm combining the two names. You got Joaquin Phoenix to take on the role of Joker, which I'm not sure if you've seen any of his other films, but Joaquin Phoenix is a really great actor and well established in a lot of kind of kooky roles. So I thought that casting was really kind of genius, and he pulled it off amazing. I mean, he won him an Oscar, and I don't know. I think that's kind of the direction that they would be smart to continue in.
yeah, I would agree. As far as other films and TV shows kind of outside the Marvel universe, anything that you're looking forward to this year or next year?
Yes, The Mandalorian.
Yes. That The Mandalorian was one that I was really kind of worried about at first, but I think that's become a big hit. So
I
You
think
needed proof behind The Mandalorian.
I think The Mandalorian is exactly what the Star Wars franchise needed right now, especially after the last 3 movies. Some were better than others, but really as a whole, the last 3 Star Wars movies in the saga were kind of shit.
yeah,
So I think The Mandalorian coming right now at this point in time is exactly what they needed to kind of keep their fan base happy.
well, I mean, so I'm one of the Star Wars fans that grew up with the original expanded universe. So when Disney, when Disney nuked the EU, I was not happy to begin with, and then the new movies just were kind of a stab in the back too. But I mean, the Mandalorian is really good. Just overall, I think they got the right guy to play Mando with Pedro Pascal. I really like him as an actor, but I think he really did well in the Mandalorian too.
So Sam, I'm sorry to interrupt. I
Oh,
never
no.
know when you're done speaking or not. I don't mean to. I was just going to say, Andrew was kind of our Star Wars guru out of the 3 of us. And I want to ask you the same question to see if it kind of matches up with Andrew's answer. You both kind of agree that the last 3 movies kind of sucked. I'm wondering what you think the biggest problem with them was. And then maybe Andrew can answer too, and we'll see kind of how your answers compare.
Mine is, and again, I mean, I hate to bring up politics, but honestly, I feel like Disney tried too hard to kind of virtue signal with Star Wars. It kind
Lord, to
of
what? I'm sorry.
they tried too hard to virtue signal.
Okay.
With I mean, really, I think the Ray character was one of their biggest problems. So, I mean, we're supposed to believe that Ray's amazing because she just is, and then they wrote the fact in that she's a Palpatine at like the last minute as like a plot hole filler. That was my biggest problem.
Oh, man. I couldn't be happier you said the Ray thing, to be honest, Sam. And my biggest critique isn't Ray. It's how they set up the first movie into the second and then into the third. Aside from all the movies being similar to the original series, like all of them, 4, 5, and 6 technically, and then 7, 8, and 9, they all kind of lined up with their predecessor of a movie. But the Ray thing, it's crazy to me because they had a brilliant plot line with making Finn a rogue stormtrooper turning him into a Jedi. Like, that seems like the perfect thing for me. The Empire is taken down by a rogue stormtrooper who went Jedi, like Force-sensitive stormtrooper. And they always teased Finn having these Force-sensitive abilities but never capitalized on it. And then they go into this movie, and all of this whole series actually, and they just capitalize on Ray only, just for Finn to take a backseat as a co-pilot and not do anything other than these side quests here and there that I guess help him out in the long run, but they don't make him a Jedi. I don't know. They missed the boat in my opinion.
Well,
for an original storyline, they really dropped the ball.
You see why we call Andrew our Star Wars guru?
Well, Andrew, you and I might have to connect on Facebook and just talk Star Wars in depth at some point.
I would freaking love to, man.
One-on-one. And one of our mods in the chat, Jolly, is also a huge Star Wars fan. I'll say this too.
He kind of sucks. Don't get me started. I'm reading some of these freaking comments. He's killing me.
As an actor, I really like Adam Driver objectively as an actor. I've seen him in other stuff, and he's a really good actor. And I feel like
Adam Driver I think is great for the franchise.
And
don't get me wrong.
I feel like he really did a good job with Kylo. I feel like Kylo was written really badly kind of from the beginning as kind of like this whiny emo kid.
Yeah. I think the second movie, they really dropped the ball with him. They really didn't know what direction they wanted to take him, so it kind of left them to standstill for this third movie.
I mean, honestly, the direction I was hoping they were going for, and this is going to be a Biggie reference, but I was honestly hoping they were going to take him the direction that they did of Revan, kind of where, he was on the dark side, but then he turned back to the light. So, and then was able to kind of harness the two together. So.
I don't know. I just don't think Rey was the right choice.
I agree.
Yeah.
I do like the way Rey was written throughout of it. Like, it made sense other than the Palpatine thing. Yeah, that was kind of just like, oh, this is why she's able to use the Force. And it's kind of what made the third movie work, I guess, if you want to say the third movie worked. But, I don't know. If they had chosen not to make her Palpatine, I almost felt like the third movie would have been better.
Sam, the other thing, too, that I'll add on to that is I feel like there were so many things that didn't make sense in the new trilogy. Certain characters were introduced and then dropped off for really no reason. You look at characters like you look at characters like Rose. You look at characters like Snoke. I mean, these were characters that were built up and then dropped off a cliff, and no one really heard of them again. There were other things too, like certain Force abilities that these characters magically had that they never introduced before. That suddenly they have these Force abilities that we've never heard of. It was just so many things that the viewer was just forced to just kind of accept without saying. Tate put it perfectly on a few episodes back. He said, we should have been watching these new Star Wars movies and saying, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. Oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. Instead, our reaction was, I don't get that. That makes no sense at all. Why is that happening? That's the wrong reaction I think Star Wars viewers should have had.
Yeah. Also, the timeline. Continuity. The continuity also got messed up because I was watching the Mandalorian with my mom. She watched the series with me, and then we went and saw The Last Jedi, and she's like, "Wait, so I'm confused. So does the Mandalorian take place after The Force Awakens or?" And I had to explain to her, I'm like, no, it takes place after after Return of the Jedi, before the new.
Right.
But in us as fans, we know that, but to the average audience, they do a really bad job of explaining their chronology for some of this other stuff. So.
Yeah, I agree. But to the Mandalorian's credit, though, I think they wrote it in a way where it's not absolutely necessary to know when this is taking place or really any other Star Wars lore at all. I mean, I think they wrote it in a way where just anyone could sit down, even if they've never seen Star Wars before, watch The Mandalorian and enjoy it. And I think that really speaks volumes to how successful it's been thus far.
That is the brilliance of the Mandalorian. I mean, Bill Burr said it perfectly on his podcast too after he guest starred because, which by the way, his episode was hilarious. But Bill Burr also said, I was never a big Star Wars fan, but The Mandalorian was like watching a Western in space, which is kind of how I feel about it. I mean...
yeah, so going back real quick to the fan servicey part of that, you can't get more fan servicey than turning Yoda into a baby. I mean, this thing swept the nation, and you know what? I got to give it to them. God damn it, they did it. So, and it worked. And for what it's worth, my girlfriend is not the biggest Star Wars fan, like, at all. Actually, she's not a Star Wars fan at all, like, ever. She saw Baby Yoda, and you know what? She watched the entire series. Come turn out, she really enjoyed it. It's guerrilla marketing, is what it is. I mean, it's this cute little figure, this mythical figure that makes people fall in love with it, and they watch the entire series and can't wait to watch the next season.
That reminds me of a meme I just saw recently online. It was something along the lines of what Disney thinks women want, and it's a picture of Rey. And then on the right side, it's what women actually want, and it's a picture of Baby Yoda. So
it's so true.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, if I could buy a Baby Yoda at like Petco, I'd probably buy 3.
No. There's a business idea. So
yeah, start selling them and grading them.
Take them for walks.
Give it a frog every now and then. It's happy as a clam.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and honestly, so Disney Plus, I think, in terms of Star Wars, they're really doing well on that front. One of the things that I'm really bummed out about is that they're delaying Kenobi for so long.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, we talked about this on our podcast too, and we were all very upset about this. Me in particular, I think more than even Tate and Andrew, because I don't know about you, Sam, but Kenobi is my favorite Star Wars character by a long shot.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I just think that Disney Plus is going to take this concept and run with it. I think it has the potential to be even more successful than The Mandalorian. And to hear that it was delayed, I was just kind of like, it was upsetting. But then again, on the flip side, we did hear that McGregor said just a few days after the news broke that it's kind of all bullshit. Yeah. And that it's going to have the same release date as it originally did. So I don't really know what to believe at this point. I'm just hoping that it comes soon.
Well, here's the thing. If it's delayed but they do it right, like I'm okay with that. I would rather that they do delays and make things, and film things properly, and edit and get like a good product as opposed to rushing things, and like half baking everything. Jolly,
I could get
Jolly in the chat wants to know. He says this is the kicker question: who's their favorite Sith? So, and that is a good question.
Can I answer first?
Yeah. Yes.
So mine's kind of a twofer. My favorite Sith is without a doubt. Well, actually, I'll just put it this way: my favorite Star Wars character out of all the Star Wars characters is Anakin. Always has been and always will. Anakin's my favorite Sith. I think he has a crazy storyline between the torment that he has internally and then how he expresses it externally by being a mercenary to a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
I think he's a crazy, crazy story, and what he becomes is even crazier, obviously. So Anakin is definitely my favorite Sith, 100%.
Andrew, what do you think?
I need a minute.
I gotta go with Darth Maul without a doubt, dude. I just think he's such a cool character. I don't think he had enough screen time in the original movies, or in the prequel rather. But I understand that he does appear quite frequently in. Is it the Clone Wars? The animated series, Sam? I don't know if you know.
Yeah, he's appeared a little bit in the Clone Wars, which I haven't watched all that much of the Clone Wars, to be honest.
Right. I just think he's a really, really cool character. Just the way, I don't know, he's just very mysterious, very dark. He has a killer lightsaber, if I can be frank.
Yeah, well,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, and then if you read some of the novels, I mean, the fact that he was kind of Sidious's first apprentice is is pretty cool too. So,
have you read a lot of the novels?
I've not read a lot of the new stuff. I've read a lot of the old stuff, like I've read all the books on the Old Republic and Darth Bane. The Darth Bane series is one that you really want to read if you really want to understand, the rule of two and what the Sith are all about. So,
I'll have to check them out.
Yeah, I mean, all that stuff is no longer canon, but it's still good. So,
yeah.
The Knights of the Old Republic video game is great too. So,
the Knights of the Republic video game? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I've never played it, unfortunately. I know that sounds kind of like a hypo, but I've actually never played. But for my favorite Sith, since I haven't answered this yet, I think it's got to be the Galactic Emperor Vader. I mean, the big bad making his first appearance in A New Hope, walking in with his theme music, and almost immediately killing like 3 people. It was just a statement that this is not to be fucked with. And then finding out later on that Anakin is his whole origin, it makes it even cooler because he's literally the only Sith we got that much background on because he was that big of a. So, I mean, Darth Vader may be a stock answer, but he was the big bad, and you can't really top him. Even, like, in other film franchises, Darth Vader is world-renowned. Like, people know who fuck Vader is. They know his theme, even if, like, they haven't even seen the movie. I feel like. You know who the fucking worst Darth character is, or the Sith character? The fucking worst Sith character ever is Count Dooku. This guy, why gotta be like that? Count Dooku never great. Count Dooku didn't do shit. No, I mean over Grievous guys. Over Grievous. Yeah. I kind of like over Grievous Tate. I love General Grievous. Oh my god. Not really, but I like him a lot better than Count. I don't know. Count Dooku's never done it for me.
I will say this though. Christopher Lee or whatever his name is. I kind of agree with you about Dooku, but Christopher Lee was playing hardcore death metal into his 80s before he died. So,
I mean, I just think for General Grievous, I mean, he's not great, but you got to appreciate the CGI, and this guy was a bad mamma jamma with 4 lightsabers, so, and he collected them off all the people he killed. I mean, come on, that's a fucking badass. But other than that, I mean, he got killed by a freaking blaster gun. It's so weak. That's one of the worst ways to go out of all of them. Yeah, so Count Dooku got decapitated by Anakin with 2 lightsabers. So I don't know. My answer is Anakin.
Also, Tate, weren't you saying something like, "Hey, we could be related to Hayden Christensen or something"?
Yeah. Oh my god. He's actually my 3rd cousin, 6 times removed.
No, he's lying.
Well, yeah, I mean, there have been some pretty interesting asides in on tap too, that not as bad as my asides, but still.
Any in particular that come to mind, Sam?
Well, for one, I actually had to hit the 30 seconds button because you guys started talking about Andrew's obsession with anime, and Jason says something like, yeah. So what is it with anime? There are two boobs on each page, and I'm like, wait, what? Did I just actually hear the word boobs come out of Jason's mouth? That's usually my line, but
Andrew loves anime, and yeah, there's a strong culture behind it, and these two don't believe. Not a lot of people do, but hey, if you're willing to give it a shot, I always recommend.
Well, that's what they all say, but we really know that quote unquote anime fans are just really hentai fans.
Oh, there it is.
Let's
There's the crazy association that's always made. There it is. I've had it.
Let's
Everywhere I go, that's what I get.
So your tentacle porn fetish
There it is.
has been.
Yep, I love watching animated porn. How did you guys know? It's so funny, Sam, because right before we came onto your show, Andrew said, I really hope he doesn't bring up anime porn.
Well,
someone's bound to ask.
Well, I mean, there are worse things. There are almost as worse things out there. So, but
there definitely are. I mean, I'll take that over what could be worse than that. I'm not dabbling in that conversation.
Well,
anime is good. You don't have to associate with the freaking shitty porn that follows it as well. All right.
Well,
that's all I gotta say on the matter.
Well, I will say this. Have any of you guys ever seen the have any of you guys ever seen the Amazon series The Boys?
No, but I really want to. I've heard great things about it.
Okay.
I have too.
Okay, the series. I have to warn you guys. The series is pretty good. The graphic novel. The graphic novel is The graphic novel is good too, but the graphic novel is one of those things that you don't want to read when other people are around. Let me just put it that way. So
you want to read with your bedroom door locked, is what you're saying?
Yeah. So
that's like an anime thing, if you ask me.
Yeah.
You don't want no one else knowing about it.
Yeah, it's pretty damn close. So, let's
So
see.
what's The Boys about then? Can you give us a little rundown on that?
Well, basically, I love the concept of it. It's basically like what if superheroes were in our reality, and they were basically the celebrities of our time. So it's basically like how superheroes are like celebrities, and they're basically just all like shitty people who are constantly like, doing drugs and like banging each other. Stuff that pretty much happens in current day Hollywood. So
yeah. That sounds interesting.
It actually is.
Is it based on current times, or is it like in the past?
Like in the
80s?
No, it's based on current time.
Oh, that sounds really interesting, actually.
So the other thing, it's not really anime porn related, but but since you brought up anime, Andrew, I guess the one thing that kind of inspired all animes to begin with is Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Which I'm a big Blade Runner fan as well. I noticed that you mentioned that a few episodes ago. So.
Yeah, Blade Runner is a fantastic movie. It opens just a huge can of worms, to be honest.
Yeah, and Jason, have you seen Blade Runner yet? The original?
God damn it, Jason.
No, I haven't. I regretfully say.
That's one that you need to. I think that's one worth your time for sure. If you like something.
I gotta see that, and Tate's been trying to get me to see Parasite lately too. So I got a list going.
I've not even seen Parasite, so I can't speak to that. But I'm going to have to. So.
I will double down on that and say you do have to. I try to range outside of the MCU and everything like that, of course, but I'm a big fan of a lot of the movie. I know the politics really come into play with this and stuff, but so don't kill me. I watched the Oscars this year because I was a big fan of a lot of the movies. I thought, I haven't seen all of them, obviously, but I've seen a number of them that were nominated and everything for a number of categories, and it was a good year for film. And Parasite won Best Picture, and I thought very rightfully so. If you can get past the subtitles, then it's an absolutely amazing thriller, suspense comedy almost.
Well, I mean, subtitles aren't a problem for me because I'm a huge fan of Narcos, so...
Yeah, I hear Narcos is actually really, really good. I watched a couple of the episodes. I haven't seen all of it, but I heard Narcos is really, really good too.
Yeah, Narcos is fantastic. So, hold on. Since you guys are in chat, let me go ahead and see if you guys are wrenched right now. So,
anyone has any questions in the chat too, we'd love to field a couple.
Yeah, come on over to the On Tap Pod, every so often as well. Not to self-promote, but,
Yeah.
It's just a dick.
But we're going to self-promote. You should definitely listen to our
Yeah, well, no, that's the whole reason why I want to have you on here, is to self-promote, obviously.
Well, thank you, Sam.
So,
yeah,
I mean...
Sammy's too kind to us. Bottom feeders.
So well, I mean, you guys aren't bottom feeders, honestly, this whole, I mean, I've been podcasting for a while, but this whole YouTube thing is still new to me. So, I mean, do you guys have any questions from me, I guess, would be my,
Have you, tonight, actually, just before we came onto your show, we talked about this topic. I guess Marvel, going back to Marvel real quick, I guess they announced that an untitled movie is going to debut in October of 2021, and fans like us are speculating on what it might be. So do you have any guesses and or thoughts on what that film may be?
Well, from what I've heard, it might not actually be anything having to do with the MCU itself, but I've heard that someone is working on like a biopic of Stan Lee. So that would So that would be interesting.
I'd see that. That'd be really cool. It's like an autobiography movie type of deal.
Yeah, something like that. So, John in the chat asks, who would win in a fight to the death? Who would win in a fight to the death? Gary Busey or Andy Dick? Jolly, I'm not even sure if I know the answer to that question.
Can I give you my answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
Gary Busey. That motherfucker's crazy.
So, my other question relating to the MCU is, when is Keanu going to join the MCU? I mean,
Keanu Reeves?
Yeah.
Probably. My thought is that if he didn't make the cut for the Eternals, he's got another 5 years.
Well, I mean, honestly, they could have solved Endgame in 5 minutes if they just sent John Wick in to solve it. To solve everything.
That's right. Having set up the traps for Thanos.
So,
John Wick. Are you kidding me? Keanu Reeves is amazing.
I love Keanu Reeves. You guys, I can't remember which one of you guys was like, I'd like to hang out with Mark Ruffalo, but I feel the same way about Keanu Reeves.
That was probably me. I think Mark Ruffalo's a good guy. I think, from what I know of him from his movies, I've never met him, but I feel like
what are you, friends?
Yeah, I feel like he would be a nice guy to get a Budweiser with on like a Tuesday afternoon after a hard day at work.
I kind of feel the same way about Robert Downey Jr. though after seeing him on the JRA. I'm a little surprised you guys hadn't brought that upon the podcast yet. So
that's
Joe
the dream.
Rogan pod?
Yeah.
I love the Joe Rogan pod.
Well, but have you guys seen his episode with Robert Downey Jr.? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, Jason actually has. Honestly, and I
Why Jason actually has?
because
Fill me out.
well, because you've admittedly said that you are not a big fan of the Joe Rogan podcast, and so me and Andrew both got on your case when we found out that Robert Downey Jr. was on, and to your credit, you did listen.
Yeah.
And you liked it.
Wait, Jason, this is breaking news here. You're not a Joe Rogan fan?
Let me clarify.
This is breaking news.
I don't understand the hype.
He's Oprah for dudes, basically.
I mean, to be fair, I really haven't given him enough of a chance. I'll admit that. But, I mean, just going into it, everyone, like, I hear people all the time talking, Joe Rogan. I just, like, I don't know.
So
I don't get the hype.
You could put Joe Rogan in a room with anyone, and he'll get along with them and make a 3-hour-long podcast just talking to them one-on-one. He gets along with anybody, even if their views are completely different than his. Like Ben Shapiro.
Who I've interviewed, by the way.
And me too. Both you guys have.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So, Oh yeah, that's right. I actually remember you messaging me after you interviewed Ben and saying, "Boy, that guy really does talk fast." So
I was gonna say, Sam. Now, I don't know. You gotta tell me if this was the case for you, but when I interviewed Ben Shapiro, I had a little bit of trouble like following what he was saying. I mean, I can't think as fast as he speaks.
Neither could I.
Glad I'm not alone.
No, well, I mean, honestly, it's funny that you mentioned that. The only reason I shouldn't say the only reason I interviewed him, but I mean the main reason why I wanted to interview him was because I wanted to find out what his predecessor Andrew Breitbart was like. But you know, when you interviewed him, like you actually interviewed him when he was in his prime or started to get famous, I guess. So
Right.
So yeah. It's it's pretty crazy. But with all that being said, going back to Joe Rogan, hey, I have to ask you, would you take the Stars of Death with Uncle Joey?
Say that again? I'm sorry, I didn't hear it, or we didn't hear it.
Would you do a Star of Death with Uncle Joey?
Yeah, what's the Star of Death?
Oh, you guys don't know what the Stars of Death are?
We're uncultured, Sam.
Okay, so basically, the Stars of Death are it's basically like a super high powered edible that Joey Diaz will give guests sometimes.
I would do a number of things with Uncle Joey. I think I would be intimidated with every single thing. I think I'd do it. What's the hurt, right? You're on his show. You're there for his content. You might as well play into it. On Uncle Joey's podcast? Oh, yeah.
Same here. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Uncle Joey would be a great. I mean, he would honestly be a great guy just to hang out with too. So
he would. I mean, the tales that guy has, the anecdotes that this man comes up with every single episode are incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
you almost don't believe him.
Yeah, I mean, he's like a life coach. He's like a life coach, honestly.
He really is.
He's certainly been through his fair share of shit. That is no question.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. So, well, I mean, before you guys came on though, I also couldn't help but overhearing you remarking that I'm in Florida. So, how's the weather where you are in the New England area?
It's shit. It's foggy. It's rainy. It's cold. That about sums it up.
Yeah, it's fucking horrible. I mean, I was literally at work the other day. I heard a conversation. Someone was like, "This weather makes me want to kill myself."
The taxes are too high there. You guys.
Texas is too hot. It's cold as balls. It's just a mess.
You
Welcome to Connecticut.
guys got to come. You guys ought to come. Well, I mean, I know that you guys visit down here, but that's not what I'm talking about. Real estate is pretty good down here right now. So.
Yeah.
Well, wait, Sam, what town do you live in again in Florida?
I'm not gonna dox myself on air because some people are watching, but I'll tell you after the program. But
Fair enough.
yeah, I've got.
But yeah, no. Before we came on, when we were talking to Andrew about how we're going to be doing this interview and stuff, we were like, yeah, we're going to call in on Sam's show, and Andrew was like, wait, we're not going to Sam's house? And I was like, wait, man, he lives in Florida, dog.
I was so shook.
Oh.
I couldn't believe my ears, dude. I thought we were just driving over like 10, 15 minutes.
But what's funny is my mother actually grew up in Waterbury, Connecticut, which I don't think is.
Oh, really?
Yep. So I mean, I've been to Connecticut, not like a whole lot. I haven't been there since I was about 10 or so, but you know.
You're not missing out on anything, I'll tell you that.
No, and I was kind of like I was talking to my mom and I'm like, hey, we ought to go on a trip to Connecticut to see my cousins, and she's like, why? I haven't been there in 15 years. I don't miss it. So.
Yeah.
Sam, if you are ever here, I will travel out to. They call it. Some people in the ghetto call it Woodbury. If you are ever in Waterbury, we will meet you in Waterbury or halfway, solely to get a beer with you in person.
We'll get a Guinness.
I'll come to you guys. I mean, it's really easy because to me the whole entire state is like so tiny. You can navigate from one end to the other in 30 minutes. So.
Pretty much.
It's true. Waterbury's probably like an hour out from us.
So, well, still that's not bad.
So, Sam, I got to tell you this because I think you'll get a kick out of it. On our podcast that we just recorded, we did like a Valentine's Day game where we each had our significant others answer a set of questions that we did not read before going on the air, and we had to try to guess how they answered each question, and it did not go too well.
Really? That'll be interesting to tune into. So am I the only single guy here still?
Well, I was going to ask, do you have any plans for Valentine's Day?
I'm gonna try hitting up some Trump babes down in Miami. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how well that.
That's the way to do it.
I don't know how well that'll go over. That's kind of how I got famous again, but that's another story for another time. But
Fair enough.
no, I've been single. I've been single for 3 years so far. So
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never known too much about your dating life, Sam.
It's I've got stories. I'll just say that. So.
Well, sometime I'd love to hear them.
So well, I'd be happy to tell them to you. So.
All right, sounds good to me.
But anyway, folks, before we get going, where can we find you at?
Well, we're happy you asked because we have the list of social medias right here in front of us. Andrew is our social media guru.
Yeah, this is Andrew's claim to fame, his 5 minutes in the spotlight.
On each episode, he reads the social media account.
Oh my God, you guys are brutal to me. Like, this is just so rude. I won't read all of them.
I'm giving you props.
I'll read the main ones. You could find our YouTube videos at On Tap Podcast. So go on YouTube, search On Tap Podcast. You'll find our videos there for sure. Facebook, you can find us and like our page at Official On Tap Pod. That's where we give most of our updates and just about everything you need to know. Our YouTube videos also go up on Facebook. And SoundCloud and Spotify is where you can find just the full audios. So look for our little tap logo, black and white image of a tap, a beer tap, I guess is all you could really call it, and that's where we are.
And we got 24 episodes now on Spotify, which is kind of a decent track record. Each one is about an hour and 20 minutes long, so we got a lot of content, and we're just goofballs. We like to drink. We do, we're not pros, but I think we have insightful comments, and it's a lot of good camaraderie.
If I may,
for a little while.
If I may be so bold, I think one of the things that makes our show maybe stand out is that I think we're pretty good at jumping back and forth between goofball stuff and kind of dicking around with each other and talking serious stuff about rumors and theories and pop culture stuff. So it's a good time. I think people will like it a lot.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing I do like about the podcast is that you guys can riff easily. So
yeah,
you guys.
Yeah, it's a good time.
So
it's a good time. I definitely encourage anyone who is open to it, check us out, give it a whirl.
And Sam, we seriously want to thank you so much. Before we wrap up, for inviting us on. I know you've been asking us to come on for a while, and it's been kind of a slow process, but we really appreciate you inviting us on.
Oh no, I appreciate having you guys on. And listen, if you guys ever need a fourth wheel for On Tap, I'm always here. So
that is definitely the future.
I will say this: one of my strong suits is I'm the guy you want to bring along at useless trivia because there have been a couple times where you guys been like, what is that actress's name or actor's name, and I'll be like screaming into my phone like, God damn it, guys, it's such and such. So
yeah, we always fumble over actors' names and actresses' names.
Hey, if you ever
we are Google itself. We do our best, but we can't remember everything.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, listen, and I'm serious. If you guys are ever like in the middle of an episode and need, and if you need like, hey, who played so and so, just hit me up. So
sounds good. And I tell you what, Sam, we would love to come on again in the future, and we'll definitely plan to have you on our show sometime soon too.
Yeah, man, your show's a lot of fun. We appreciate you having us on. We really, really do. I know we're a bunch of crazy guys, but we really enjoy having conversations.
Hey, I'm crazy. I'm crazy and insane. I don't even think Tate or Andrew know. I mean, I know Jason knows some of the crazy antics I've been into the last few years with a certain internet personality, but
Oh, really, Sam? I don't think you've mentioned him before.
Well, a certain internet personality is let's just say he's drinking turpentine now, paint thinner. So
Wonderful.
Let me just say that you guys aren't missing much anymore in terms of covering politics. It's gone to complete crap now. So
all the news media like that is just negative and dark, and we aren't about that. We just want to have fun with what we're doing here.
Yeah, same here. So it's easier to talk about pop culture and then mock everyone who's in the political sphere now. So, but anyway, guys, thanks for coming on, and ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for tuning in and for this Thursday night edition, and I'll be back tomorrow for a special Valentine's Day edition of the show. Until then, good night, God bless, and God save this great nation. So,
Good night, folks.
all right. Good night, everyone, and thanks for watching. Hey there, folks. If you've made it this far to the end of the podcast, I'd like to thank you very much for listening to the show. You are the ones that make it possible for me to make an income from podcasting, and I greatly appreciate that just by listening to our show. You are helping us gain ad revenue. However, if you would really like to help support the show, I encourage you to please donate to the podcast and become a supporter of the show. You can head over to anchor.fm/Whitfield Report and click the support this podcast button and choose the amount that suits you to support the show. Or you can click the link in the show notes and it will directly take you to that page. If you can support the podcast, I really, really appreciate that. Anything that you can do to help out is greatly appreciated. Even if you can't afford to help financially support the podcast, I encourage you to please go on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or Stitcher and please leave this podcast a positive 5-star review. That really helps us out here at the Whitfield Report. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next episode.